I took a rafting trip back in, I don't know, 2000 maybe, that really informed my life around leadership. And it's very, so I actually give a speech nowadays to our teams and new hotels that we take over, and I've done it for other organizations called the Riverbanks. And it makes me think of what I learned on that journey and how it applies to our lives in leadership, and how we as leaders, if we will all get in the boat together, right? So we showed up to get trained, and the first thing was, questioning your leader, because I walk up and the guy who was taking us on our trip, he's 25, this good looking, California guy, suntan, kind of no care in the world. And I'm looking at these big rapids and I'm thinking, this is our leader, right? So it's like, oh, I questioned my leader. But here's the thing, that guy had studied that river and he had been down that river a lot, and he was able to really guide us. And so throughout this trip, all these things happened. He had coached us before. And, we went through several rapids. We saw rafts get dumped. We didn't get dumped. And then we lost somebody out of our raft and we had to recover. So all these things on that trip, I started thinking about it. Well, that's like management. Like, the river seems calm, but around the corner, there's a rapid. And if you're not prepared for a rapid as a leader, and you're not thinking past the rapid, what's next, and how to navigate that rapid, and what happens if it goes wrong? Remember we were talking about curiosity? Curiosity demands that you know that river. So as leaders, you got to know your river ahead. And the riverbanks are the guides of organization. You think about, that's Remington. That's how we say. We believe we're going to be, people thrive here. We believe we're going to be a leader in the marketplace and commercial efforts. We're going to be the place where people want to work. So if those are your riverbanks, then that's fine. You can get in our river and you can paddle with us, but those riverbanks are going to stay in place. Because if you don't, well, you have a flood. And when things flood, it's a mess, right? Nobody knows what your culture is. Nobody knows what your organization is. Those riverbanks are required, so we stand firm on those things. We all, as the executive team, believe them. We live by them. We hold ourselves accountable to them, and we hold our organization accountable. Because once you let those down, who are you?
How do you decide and define what those banks are, those boundaries?
Well, it's really pointed towards the outcome, right? The riverbanks have to be, what is it at a very crystallized level that's going to make your organization great and different? I like the words honesty, integrity, humility, care, and concern for our associates. When you think about those things, if you use the word integrity and you say, we're going to be a great hotel organization, right? That demands something of you, right? If you're of integrity. So if I say, we're going to have the best hotels in the industry as far as guest service, that demands something. That means that you can't have a hotel that is failing its guest service. That's out of integrity. And I can tell you, one of the things that's not okay with me is being out of integrity. So that's what I ask of our leaders. If you're going to be the GM of a hotel, when you got hired, you said, yes, I know how to run a clean hotel. Yes, I know how to give great service. Okay. Answer those questions daily. Ring that bell. And that's integrity. So that's how you define riverbanks. I'm okay with entrepreneurialism. All this river's wide. Let's go. Let's all go that way. But you got to stay in the riverbanks. And so I will just tell you that the really the lesson that I learned over all those years ago from rafting is, if you know anything about it, is the leader sits in the back. And he sits up on the back of the raft, and that's where our guide Tom was. And he sat up in the back and he can see downriver. And what I used to think about leader was being the front runner. I used to be the guy up front digging and paddling and showing how strong I was. Even on that trip, I rode the bull, which is where you sit in the front and you go through holding on. And I have a picture of that. And I look at that picture and I think, man, what I've learned over the years is the real leaders sit behind their teams, help them go forward, look downriver, watch for obstacles, plan. They're curious, they're well-informed. And so it's a great metaphor for what leadership is for me. And it's really inferred a lot of my life because people can understand it. Young leaders can understand this. We are going to be the best widget maker because we have the best culture and we have the best organizational policies, and this is how we do widgets. Okay, you can understand that. Everything else can be in the middle here. It can be, this guy knows better how to do this part of the production or whatever. But as long as those stay enforced, the river's going to keep going forward. And as you refine your team, like we're doing at Remington, and you get this great cohesion of talent, what happens is everything speeds up. And then you're really what we call in the rush.